And let's continue our conversation now by calling on our prestigious political panel. First, joining us via Skype, political commentator and international reporter Margaret Howell. And from Newsmax Washington, my old congressional colleague, Michael Patrick Flanagan, MPF, as I call him, now the president of Flanagan Consulting. Thanks to you both for your time here on Newsmax Prime. One voting bloc Donald Trump needs to really reach out to, even at this late point in the campaign, is the female voter. So that's why Melania was in suburban Philadelphia in Berwyn, PA. Here's what she had to say earlier today.
We cannot call ourselves a fully developed or advanced nation when 50% of our women live in poverty, when 16 million are without health insurance, when too many are choosing between basic needs like rent, food, and health care. This cannot be. We cannot afford to have more of the same.
You see it there, Maggie, a strong appeal to women hitting those key issues in polling. Your evaluation of Mrs. Trump on the stump today.
Oh, I think she sounds like a future First Lady, JD. I was so proud of her. You know, what she said about Reagan and what the Reagan era meant to her living in Slovenia. Very First Lady sounding with this speech. And she resonates with women, and so does her husband, frankly. We know that Clinton is very anti-woman. She's been very anti-woman in her 40-year tenure. I had the great privilege of meeting Kathy Shelton this week, the rape survivor, and Clinton got her rapist off. So we know that Clinton traditionally has been anti-woman, despite what she says, and I believe that Trump will be a pro-woman candidate, and I think that's going to be the case because he's pro our economy, and we know that women are breadwinners in this economy. So if he's planning on growing the economy, that means that women will prosper. It goes hand in hand.
Minute and a half left, and Michael Patrick Flanagan, we're going to get your comments on this brand new ad just released by the Trump campaign. Let's watch it, then we'll get your reaction.
Decades of lies, cover-ups, and scandal have finally caught up with Hillary Clinton. Hillary Clinton is under FBI investigation again after her emails were found on pervert Anthony Weiner's laptop. Think about that. America's most sensitive secrets, unlawfully sent, received, and exposed by Hillary Clinton, her staff, and Anthony Weiner. Hillary cannot lead a nation while crippled by a criminal investigation. Hillary Clinton, unfit to serve.
So he makes the case, but the interesting thing is, Michael Patrick Flanagan, he directly calls Anthony Weiner a pervert. You're from the city with broad shoulders and sharp elbows. Is that too tough, or is that just Trump and his campaign telling it like it is? 30 seconds left here, Mike.
My friend, of all the things you could call Anthony Weiner, pervert is probably the most mild. Carlos Danger, I believe, is his nom de guerre there, nom de plume. The man is lost. He's a lost soul. And unfortunately, he is taking everyone he knows down to the bottom with him. And I'll tell you, Huma, Hillary, they're all going to a bad place. And they made peace with this guy. You lay down with dogs, you get up with fleas. And you lay down with a pervert, you got to live with this guy when it happens. And they just need to get over it. And it's going to cost them.
Well, we are going to get more commentary from you both because we value it very much. So Maggie and Mike, stay right where you are. There's another voting bloc Mr. Trump is courting down the stretch. Our political panel returns to discuss that and much, much more as we continue here on Newsmax Prime. Crunch time for the presidential candidates means trying to convince those still sitting on the fence to jump down and pick a side. And as Ed Berliner reports, there is one group of voters that doesn't seem to be in a big hurry to cast ballots. And that should have Hillary Clinton very concerned.
I need everybody to understand that everything we've done is dependent on me being able to pass the baton to somebody who believes in the same things I believe in. If you really care about my presidency and what we've accomplished, then you are going to go and vote. But if we let this thing slip, and I've got a situation where my last 2 months in office are preparing for a transition to Donald Trump, whose staff people have said that their primary agenda is to have him in the first couple of weeks sit in the Oval Office and reverse every single thing that we've done?
And therein lies a critical part of what both Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton will be focusing on for the next 5 days, convincing African Americans that they are the right leader. They are the person who has the voters' best interests at heart. They are the only candidate that will properly represent them as president.
We know that Hillary Clinton, from our souls, black people know that Hillary Clinton is not going to do anything for black people. And then you have to remember, 8 years under the president didn't do anything for the inner city. She doesn't have an example to go behind.
Folks don't like Donald Trump. There's no secret about that. But they're not enamored of Hillary Clinton as well. And the Clinton campaign, I think, banked on that black vote being there just because it was Hillary Clinton and Democrats and all of that. But black folks are looking at this race a little bit differently, and they don't have the same level of passion and concern.
Concern, which is not being shown in the early voting, as the African-American turnout is softer than anyone imagined and would seem to indicate this influential block of ballots is staying away from the polls, down significantly in North Carolina and Florida. Then again, it may all be a moot point come Tuesday, as actual turnout is something no one can accurately predict. J.D., all yours.
Thanks very much, Ed. Let's discuss it with our political panel. And to do so, we welcome back Maggie Howell, who's joining us via Skype. And from Newsmax Washington, former Congressman Michael Patrick Flanagan. Thank you very much for hanging around with me. And the question became, Maggie, and this whole thing, would African Americans hang around and vote at the levels they voted for Barack Obama in 2008 and 2012? And right now, it doesn't look like that's going to happen.
Of course they're not. And we heard Obama say about his legacy, this is not about him. This is about the American people. And he's done very little for the black voter. He's done virtually nothing for the inner cities in this country. And Hillary Clinton, let's not forget, in the 90s, she described young black men in this country as super predators that need to be brought to heel. She and her husband are largely responsible for the imprisonment of the black family in this country. And frankly, she would do nothing for the black voter. And I think that it's very ridiculous for the Democratic Party to rely so heavily on the black vote and take it for granted. And it looks like she's lost it. I couldn't be happier. People are waking up to whom she really is. And let's not forget the WikiLeaks, David Brock, what he had to say about the black voter. He, one of the most elitist, racist in her camp, who had the nerve to insinuate that the black voter in this country was stupid.
JD, I've been working the black vote for a lot of years in Chicago. I live in Southwest D.C. and almost 100% African American community. I'm the guy in the neighborhood they all had kind of gotten used to, and I hear all of it. I know all of it, and I'm telling you this: they have no great love for Barack Obama. They love the fact that he was the first black president. They take great pride in that, as many of us do, as we all should, that we elected a black man president. But as for what he did for them, they are painfully aware the answer is nothing. And I'll tell you what else. Where is Al Sharpton? Where is Jesse Jackson? Where is Louis Farrakhan? Where are these guys out on the stump? They are nowhere. And the answer is not because they hate Hillary Clinton. It's because they know that there's cracks and fractures in their own communities, and these guys have made a living staying out in front of stuff like that. And so until that vote comes in, these guys are going to be nowhere laying it out. The only African-American faces that are helping Hillary are the president and the first lady, and they don't have the cachet that people think they do. I think this is a losing bet for her to chase the African-American vote. I think what she has to do is lay out a plan like Mr. Trump has done to say, here, I'm going to help everybody in the inner city, and I'm going to lift all boats, and yours too, and here's what's going to happen here, instead of just saying, hey, look at me, I'm standing next to the black people, you need to vote for me, which is essentially all she's doing. Black folk aren't stupid, and they're tired of being taken for granted.
Mike,
they're going to turn on the Democrats this time out.
Mike, you mentioned the fact that President and Mrs. Obama are two of the prominent African-American faces out there, really about the only two right now on the trail. Donald Trump was on the stump earlier today in Jacksonville, Florida, and he had an interesting observation about President Obama heading down to South Florida. Let's look and listen.
And I just left, by the way, Miami. And in leaving, I see Air Force One. So I said to myself, I wonder who that could be. And it's our president. And he's down here campaigning for crooked Hillary. Now, why isn't he back in the office, sometimes referred to as the Oval Office?
And Mr. Trump went on to complete the thought saying, why isn't he at work being president instead of being the campaigner in chief? Maggie, that kind of argument to independent voters, I think, has some resonance. What do you say?
Oh, it does. I just love hearing Trump speak. It's such plain speak, and it's easy to understand. Obama has never stopped campaigning for himself. And, you know, he seems to only stop when it's golf or vacation time. I think he's taken more vacation days than any president in modern history. And, of course, he's campaigning for Hillary. It's the least he can do for her because of what happened in 2008. But Trump is absolutely right, and people see through this. You know, Obama, he had the nerve to call people sexist in Ohio yesterday if you didn't vote for Hillary Clinton. So I don't think he's a very effective campaigner, and I really don't think he's getting his message across like he would like to.
Now, elsewhere on the trail, Mr. Trump's running mate, Governor Mike Pence, was out campaigning earlier today, and he had an interesting guy sharing those campaign duties with him, Senator Ted Cruz. We recall, Michael Patrick Flanagan, what happened at the convention, what happened in the Republican primaries. So what about Ted Cruz coming out in these final 5 days campaigning in Iowa on behalf of Donald Trump with Mike Pence?
I don't really, I see what you're having. I'm having some internal struggle with it, too, because I was very angry with Mr. Cruz at the convention and afterward. But, you know, when the debates started, he offered to show up and help with the debates. He's been trying to get back into the good graces of the party and of this candidacy for a while, even when it didn't look as good as it did today. So I think for Ted, we can drop the anger, reach out and reach back as he's reaching out to us and embrace him and say, you know, we need guys like you for the future. As for this city filled with never-Trumpers, you see the dome behind me, this city filled with never-Trumpers, with Bushies who think that they're going to get back into government because they've stuck around long enough. Please, God, Carrie Ann, Mr. Trump, if you're listening, do not let this come to pass. We need a government built with new and exciting ideas, not the same old establishment trash. And I hope that a divide and division can be drawn there.
Look, Ted Cruz, he made himself obsolete when he refused to endorse Trump for the nomination at the RNC. I was watching it live in shock. I couldn't believe that. And he's trying to revive his own name. He's one heck of a senator, and I think he does really well in filibuster cases. But I see this as just him trying to revive his own career because he really shot himself in the foot, seemingly like a sore loser that was a petulant child and was really trying to
let me step in, Maggie. Let me step in, Mike, because again, it seems that a lesson is important here, especially in the final 5 days. Effective politics is all about addition. Whatever frustrations out of the convention with Ted Cruz, that's water under the bridge now. Whatever his ulterior motives about rehabilitating his political career, okay, that may be true, but to a lot of non-Washington never-Trumpers and self-regarded conservative purists, having Ted Cruz with Mike Pence in a place like Iowa and having him there with Chuck Grassley and Steve King, that makes a powerful statement to those who may still be reluctant. But I think a lot of the Trumpers are coming back. They may have been never Trumpers, but they're going, no, wait a minute, let me rethink that. I'm never Hillary. Just my 2 cents worth. Don't want to end with a filibuster, but Maggie and Michael, we always appreciate what you have to say, and we look forward to having you back again real soon. Thanks very much. Now, still to come, Donald Trump knows what he needs to do to win the White House, and radio host Howie Carr has a couple of things to say about the Trump train and more as we continue here on Newsmax Prime.